The story begins at a black church in the 1990s in Indiantown, Florida, where an influential multimillionaire, Willie Gary, is giving a powerful speech to his community.
I say like this, when God calls, you have to answer.
And he talks about what gives people peace. For him, it's home, not just a place, but the black church itself. He says this is where he feels safe, where no one judges him by his skin, and if they do call him anything, they call him a child of God. Meanwhile, in Biloxi, Mississippi, a 75-year-old man named Jerry celebrates his birthday with his extended family. He is grateful for his 13 children and 24 grandkids. The next day, Willie is in court, full of energy and charm, defending an older man named Clovis Tubbs, who was hit by a company truck. He speaks with power and humor.
Was drunk. Ain't even got a license.
He rode a bike into traffic after drinking, but one thing matters, he had a green light. Willie calls it a miracle that Clovis survived. He says the company wasn't paying attention and should be held accountable. He asked for $75 million, saying they have the money and they tried to crush the little guy. By the end, the jury decides in favor of the man and Willie wins. Among the crowd watching Willie's fiery courtroom performance is Jerry and his young new lawyer, Hal. Both are clearly impressed by Willie's energy and skill. After the trial, they visit Willie's flashy office to speak with him in person. Next, Willie is joined by his business partner, Reggie.
So, what y'all got? What y'all got for Willie Gary? PI? PI, personal injury. Y'all got some personal injuries?
Since that's the only kind of law his firm handles.
It's a contract law case.
Willie and Reggie laugh it off, calling it boring and not worth their time. Still, Hal insists they listen. He says the case is unusual, and once they hear it, they might think differently. Jerry explains his case to Willie, saying he runs a family-owned funeral business in Biloxi that has been in his family for generations.
I have 8 funeral homes and 1 burial insurance company.
But recent financial trouble and pressure from state regulators have put everything in danger. At first, Jerry refuses to sell, but his longtime lawyer and close friend Mike suggests that selling part of the business might be a way out. They arrange a meeting with a Canadian funeral giant, Ray Lowen.
Line up every independently owned funeral chain they can get their hands on.
Before the trip, Jerry introduces Mike to Hal, who just joined their legal team. But Mike is unsure of Hal's abilities, since he's very young. In Canada, they meet Ray, a smooth-talking executive who brags about profiting from aging baby boomers. He offers to buy 3 of Jerry's homes for an amount to be decided later.
No longer sell burial insurance in southern Mississippi.
Back home, months go by with no progress. Ray keeps stalling, and Hal starts to suspect that it's intentional. He believes Ray is trying to bankrupt Jerry, then buy everything for cheap. Mike dismisses this as paranoia, leading to tension between the two. But Hal finally convinces Jerry.
Well, that's it. I'm going to sue him.
When Jerry tells Annette that he's planning to sue, she's surprised.
You've never sued anybody before in your whole life. Do you think 75 years of age is a good time to start suing people?
But Jerry stands firm. He says if someone tries to bully you and you know it's wrong, you have to fight back no matter how old you are. After filing the lawsuit in Hinds County, Jerry gets ready to fight. That night, Hal shows up at Jerry's house with something important. He's been watching a TV special about Willie and says they should consider hiring him for the case. Hal tells him that Willie has never lost a trial in over 12 years and is known for winning huge verdicts. However, Jerry reminds Hal this is a contract case, not personal injury, but Hal points out that Hinds County has a mostly black population, and if they go to trial, a black jury is likely. He says Mike, being a white guy, might not connect with that jury the way someone like Willie could. Jerry isn't fully convinced, but he convinces him to watch Willie in person once and decide for himself. And that is how they end up in Willie's courtroom in Florida. After hearing Jerry's story,
So, how much money y'all trying to get?
$6 million.
and just like that, Willie's expression shifts, showing that he is clearly not interested.
But this ain't no Willie Gary case.
He says his kind of case is one where he walks into court knowing he can win, one where he can get a huge verdict and make the other side hurt. $6 million in his world isn't worth the fight.
You're white. He's white. I don't have white clients.
Hearing this, Jerry thanks him for his time, and it seems like the meeting is over. As they are leaving the building, Hal decides to step back in and try again.
I mean, Jerry's a dream client. He's a war hero. He served in World War II.
Served as mayor, and once stood up to the KKK.
Yeah, man. Hell, don't nobody give a shit about that.
news, nigga.
They remind him that they only take big money cases and that this one doesn't come close. That's when Hal shifts gears.
How do you know this case can't be something bigger? I'm talking about the $20 billion a year death care industry.
And Lowen is one of only 2 corporations taking over the entire industry. What happened to Jerry is not an isolated problem. It's the tip of something larger, and it could be the beginning of a nationwide fight. Hal looks Willie in the eye and challenges him.
The legal community in this country goes, you're nothing more than a glorified ambulance chaser.
But this case could put him on the national stage, alongside names like Thurgood Marshall and Johnny Cochran. It's not just about $6 million, it's about legacy. This time, Willie dreams big and agrees. The next day, Willie arrives in Mississippi aboard his private jet, which he proudly calls Wings of Justice. He also brings his full team from Florida, ready to join the fight. Meanwhile, inside Jerry's office, Mike is already skeptical.
Well, I've never heard of him.
Doesn't like the idea of bringing in a flashy personal injury lawyer for a contract dispute. Hal tries to calm things down, insisting this is about preparing for a possible trial, not replacing anyone. Mike says he's fine with that, but only if it's clear he's still the lead attorney. Just as they're wrapping up, Willie and his team pull up in style. Music blasts as he walks in full of energy. Then, Willie directly asks Mike how he feels about working with black lawyers. Mike admits he has some prejudice, but says he's working to overcome it. Willie appreciates the honesty and introduces his team one by one, who are all black. In the conference room, Willie stands before the whole team and lays out his philosophy.
Litigation is war. It's a battle.
And he fights to win, not just for money, but to send a message.
We're not settling.
Especially not for anything as small as $8 million. However, Mike tells Willie that he has already offered to settle and thinks Willie's approach is reckless. The two then argue on who decides what and who the lead attorney is. Willie tells Jerry that the only way he will work for him is if he becomes the lead attorney. Then Jerry takes Mike to a private room.
I think we ought to give him a chance.
Did you hear that speech he just gave?
He believes in his passion, and despite Mike's protests, he has decided to make Willie the lead attorney. After becoming the lead attorney, Willie dictates a new letter to the Lowen Group.
The offer you received of $8 million, the new offer is in the amount of $100 million.
Mike and his old team are left speechless by the offer.
Everybody's got to trust me, all right?
Because that's the only way they'll win.
Starting as of the date of this letter, our new settlement demand is now...
When they reach the new demand, which is $100 million,
What?
Oh, come on, you gotta be kidding.
Ray then asks them who Willie is, and they tell him that he is a flashy personal injury guy from Florida. They're confused why Jerry would bring in someone like that for a contract dispute. However, one of the lawyers tells them that the case is filed in Hinds County, Mississippi.
And about 70% black.
So that's why he was hired, because he's black.
And because a local black jury might be more sympathetic to him than to the Canadian executives. Ray's team then plans to play Jerry's game and hire a lawyer with similar background. The next day, Willie and his team receive an update about who Ray hired. When Hal reads the name, everyone is surprised to hear it's a woman.
Her name is Mame Downs.
But also a top-tier legal mind.
She graduated with her BA from Howard University. Graduated top of her class from Harvard Law School. For Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor.
And became the youngest partner at her firm, Cranston, Brown & Atwell.
On account of her particular style during cross?
The python.
How she used to strike when you least expect it.
That night, Annette asked Jerry how they're paying for everything, especially the lawyer from Florida.
They suspended my license this time. I've had to shut the business down for a while.
She then asked him why he's still going through with the lawsuit when he could just sell the funeral homes to someone else. Jerry admits it's not just about business anymore and tells her that he doesn't want Ray to get away with what he did.
If you want to know how I'm paying for it, I took out a third mortgage on this house.
Which is how he is paying for Willie. The next day, Willie takes Jerry in his private jet to Jackson, Mississippi.
Tell me, Willie, how'd you wind up being a lawyer?
Willie tells him that it all started when he and his wife tried to move into a nicer apartment in a white neighborhood. Despite being promised a place, the landlord turned them away once he saw Willie and his family were black. Humiliated in front of his wife and kids, Willie didn't lash out.
I opened up the phone book. First law school I saw, I said, I'm going right there. I did it.
The first thing he did after passing the bar was sue that landlord. After that, Willie tells Jerry he respects him for standing up to a powerful company like Lowen. Jerry explains that it's not just about business.
Leave something behind for my children, my grandchildren, when I go. And I do mean to pass it on to them.
Later, the team heads to a hotel and realizes that they are staying in the same hotel as Ray's lawyer's team.
Could you send your finest bottle of champagne over there to that table?
And he sees Mame for the first time. That night, the team discusses how to approach the case. Everyone tries to come up with their own approach to win the case, and Willie sits quietly, listening and weighing each suggestion. Mike, however, doesn't believe any of it will work as he doubts they have any real chance of winning the case. Later that night, Willie steps out for some air and notices Mame sitting alone at the hotel bar, reviewing documents. He approaches and strikes up a conversation.
You know, I've actually never did this before, where it's sitting down with the opposing counsel.
Then Willie brings up her background, noting she's from Compton, but now represents powerful corporate clients. He questions what that shift means and whether she's truly on the side she wants to be. Mame defends her career path and doesn't accept the suggestion that being black means she has to carry her work a certain way.
But I'm a son of a sharecropper. I was 8 years old.
And how he built his career from nothing. Mame pushes back, questioning his assumptions about her and defending her right to define success on her own terms. However, their banter reveals shared pride in their accomplishments, but also exposes the sharp differences in how they view their roles in the legal system. As the night progresses, their conversation takes a light turn and they become friendly. However, as the night ends,
once we begin that trial, nigga, I will destroy you.
The next day in court, Willie brings his signature energy and charisma as he addresses the jury.
This case here is really about the oldest sin known to man. We know for a fact that the deal had already been approved by Lowen and his board.
Mame counters with a calm, precise argument.
Between two parties, if one of the parties didn't sign the contract.
Willie pushes back, arguing the intent was clear and that Jerry was desperate because everything he built was on the line. After both sides present their arguments,
one of the involved parties, heretofore referred to as
when one party signals they won't honor a contract. However, his delivery is so dry and technical that the jury visibly struggles to stay awake. That night, Willie bursts into the team's workspace, furious. He thinks they've lost their fire and are boring the jury with technical talk. He declares he's putting Jerry on the stand next to shake things up, arguing that Jerry's honesty, military service, and civil rights work will resonate with the jury. Mike and Hal try to tell him that it's too early and risky, especially since they haven't seen what Mame is truly capable of in cross-examination.
Now, I made a decision. You can either get on board or you can get the fuck out.
The following week, Willie brings Jerry to the stand, energizing the courtroom once again.
Ran twice and served 2 terms as mayor from 1974.
And to appeal more to the black jury.
One of those terms that a very friendly group of people came to visit you, Ku Klux Klan.
I denied them a permit to demonstrate in Biloxi.
With these instances, Willie paints Jerry as a man of deep values. But during cross-examination, Mame turns the spotlight on Jerry's weakness, revealing past troubles,
State Insurance Commission was about to revoke your license,
and questionable business ties with a man who is now in prison.
Is it possible that this entire case stems from jealousy?
Through her questioning, Mammy works to dismantle the upright image Willie spent so much time constructing, casting doubt on whether Jerry is really the man of integrity he claims to be. After a harsh day in court, Jerry lashes out at Willie.
I'm angry with you. You're supposed to protect me up there.
Oh, you told me about the money, but you didn't tell me nothing about him going to jail.
But Jerry says that's not his fault.
You have been trying to turn this case into your own personal one-ring circus. I'm going to replace you as lead attorney.
That night, Willie is down for the first time as he feels the case is slipping through his fingers. He calls his wife, Gloria, and tells her what happened in the courtroom. She then tells him not to feel bad about it as he will emerge the winner in the end, and she believes in him. Meanwhile, Hal conducts some research and finds a woman named Lorraine who used to work for Ray's company. Relevant scene to be added.
Saw a lot, about how that company operates.
Hal convinces her to testify and takes her to court. That week, Mike emerges as the lead attorney and Lorraine testifies.
This policy of raising prices on certain items, mostly this turned out to be poor areas.
She also explains how a casket meant to sell for $750 was charged triple in areas with mostly low-income residents, especially black neighborhoods. Mame tries to object to the implication by saying this is not a race dispute, but the damage is already done, and Lorraine's testimony casts a harsh light on the company's predatory practices. The next morning, Willie approaches Jerry to clear the air.
I did the wrong thing and I blew it, and I just want to say I'm sorry and I apologize.
Jerry accepts the apology calmly.
Is this the first time you ever apologized to somebody like that?
That night, Mame is very angry because the jury is being convinced by Lorraine's testimony.
Material witness to the agreement between O'Keefe and Lowen.
Which means I will have him on cross.
Meanwhile, Jerry's team is digging through Ray's company files and discovers that the company has made a deal with the National Black Church. Hal suspects there might be something shady in the agreement, so he requests more information on it. On the next day in court, Mike is called to testify. While the move seems unusual, it's justified by his longtime role as Jerry's attorney throughout the deal with Ray. Mike explains that the contract between Jerry and Ray was clearly defined and never left room for misinterpretation or open-ended timelines. Mame, however, takes the opportunity during cross-examination to press Mike personally.
Your extended family, your immediate family, you love all of your family.
Remind me, how long was your grandfather a member of the Ku Klux Klan?
Hearing this, the courtroom erupts in tension, with objections flying and the judge struggling to maintain order. However, the message was clear. Mame used the opportunity to suggest that Jerry's team didn't truly care about the community, pointing out that one of its key members had a direct family connection to the Ku Klux Klan. After the courtroom fallout, tensions erupt within the team.
Room for the brothers right now. Denounce your granddaddy.
But Mike refuses, insisting he shouldn't be judged for his family's past. The argument escalates, and despite Willie's efforts to keep them united, Reggie and all his black team quit the case. Mike, feeling his presence now harms more than helps, offers to step down. Willie tries to stop him, but Mike knows the jury won't see him the same anymore.
I have to win without you.
You're gonna.
That night, Jerry tells Annette that he is thinking of dropping the case altogether. He believed justice would be on his side, but now he feels misled and defeated. Annette then tells him that if he plans on doing that, he should tell Willie in person, and he agrees. Meanwhile, Hal finally receives the files he requested on Lowen's deal with the National Black Church and continues his research. The next day, Jerry visits Willie's home, only to find he's away. Willie's wife warmly welcomes Jerry and insists on driving him to Indiantown.
He's over at his mother's in Indiantown, where he usually goes on Saturdays.
When they reach there,
Willie ever tell you he's one of 11 siblings?
And how Willie grew up holding tightly to those he cared about. Later, Jerry and Willie head to the fields and begin to talk.
You're gonna drop the case.
I know it's got to be a disappointment.
But before he finishes, Willie cuts in and explains that they could have taken down the company. But despite the outcome of the case,
I just hope you know how much I've enjoyed getting to know you.
it's Hal urging Willie not to let Jerry give up. His voice cuts in and out, but one thing is clear, he might have found something very important. The following day, Hal and Willie traveled to southern Mississippi to meet with leaders from the National Black Church communities. They ask about a past deal between the Lowen Group and the National Baptist Convention. The leaders reveal that Lowen partnered with church leadership to sell funeral services to black communities, encouraging members to act as salespeople for burial plots, headstones, and insurance, all for commission. Though pitched as a path to empowerment, the deal only benefited Lowen, further exploiting poor black families during their most vulnerable moments. Later, they are shown a field.
On account of the fact that there's no headstone. It's an old slave burial ground.
Because enslaved people had no means to afford them. The elder explains how black history in the South is buried deep in forgotten fields, often paved over by Confederate monuments.
It's like taking one history and putting it right on top of another.
Until the older one is pushed so far down, it's almost lost forever. After uncovering the exploitative practices, Willie brings members of the affected community to testify in court. One woman shares how she was misled about funeral costs, with the final price far exceeding what her policy had promised.
When I told them that I didn't have the extra money, they happily said, keep the body on ice.
And then they tried to recruit her as a sales agent. Others also testify about being charged inflated prices for coffins and services, pressured by trusted religious leaders. Their testimonies reveal a disturbing pattern that shows Lowen's manipulation of faith and financial desperation for profit. Next, Willie calls one of Lowen's own analysts to the stand.
How much money Lowen Group project to make?
The courtroom listens closely.
Maybe $1.2 billion.
When asked how much of that went to the church in return, the analyst hesitantly reveals it was only a $200,000 donation. The staggering imbalance between profit and payout speaks volumes without Willie needing to say much more. After the devastating testimony about the NBC deal, Mame panics.
I'm gonna have to call Owen.
People honestly is something that's always been important to us.
He admits they're aggressive in a tough market.
We don't cheat people.
Mame ends her questioning there, hoping his words will be enough to sway the jury back. Willie then takes his turn to question Ray. Bringing his signature charisma and fire to the courtroom, he starts off with a light tone.
You're in that suit, Doc. That's out on money. I can tell that. Listen, I just want to thank you for coming down here. I know.
But it quickly becomes clear he's leading to something bigger. He digs into Ray's lavish lifestyle, pressing him about his luxury yacht and private jet. Details Ray hesitates to speak of. Then, without letting up, Willie lands the real blow.
That it was all being paid for by all the poor people and destitute people your company was systematically taken advantage of.
He also adds that after squeezing every dollar from vulnerable communities, companies like Ray's turned to small, loyal businesses like Jerry's, not just to expand, but to clean up the mess they've created. At this point, Ray is visibly fed up and tired of Willie's relentless questioning. He is very frustrated with being told what to do by a black judge and desperate to end the moment.
Did it ever bother you at all?
No.
With just that, Willie rests his case, leaving the courtroom stunned. After court, Ray completely loses his temper, furious at how things unfolded. But despite his anger, his legal team urges him to settle. Later, both sides, Jerry's team, including Annette, and Ray's team, gather at the table for negotiations. Ray's lawyers make an initial offer, but after a brief glance at Annette,
the answer's no.
Ray, clearly frustrated, raises the offer to $75 million. Jerry again looks to Annette.
Answer's still no.
Shocked, Ray accuses Jerry of turning it down just to keep him from winning.
You can't honestly tell me that is not enough, Jerry. You're 80 years old.
It's more than enough for me. It's just not enough for you. It isn't enough to put you out of business.
Ray then mocks him for walking away from such a fortune and asks how it feels to be a small-time funeral director, turning down $75 million.
It feels good. Feels good. Feels good.
On the final day of the trial, tension fills the courtroom as everyone awaits the verdict. The jury returns and the foreperson announces,
after careful consideration, have decided to side in favor of Jeremiah O'Keefe.
Then the jury declares a staggering $100 million award in compensatory damages and an additional $400 million in punitive damages to be paid by the Lowen Group. The courtroom erupts with emotion as Jerry and his team celebrate the victory. Ray storms out, furious, while Jerry and Willie are showered with congratulations. Later, Mame approaches Willie and admits she also believed Jerry deserved more. She praises his work, and Jerry thanks her for her professionalism, calling her the toughest opponent he's ever faced. After the trial, Lowen Group appealed and settled for $175 million. Ray resigned 2 years later, and the company went bankrupt within a year. Jerry and Annette started a foundation supporting the disadvantaged, with over 40% of grants aiding Black communities. Their funeral home remains the largest family-owned business in southern Mississippi. Willie Gary became one of the nation's top trial lawyers, earning huge verdicts against giants like Anheuser-Busch and Disney. Known as the Giant Killer, He remained close friends with Jerry until his death in 2016.